Okay, blessings everyone. I will try to do a quick summary of um, the coming months and mostly months of disclosure. We just take a moment to ask Divine Spirit to just bless this transmission with love and light and truth. And so it is. Amen. My daughter may be waking up soon, but I just wanted to review some of the things I mentioned last Mother's Day. The acronym GEAM-V-FM. So GEAM government, what we're going to be seeing, and this video is meant for encouragement and light in the times ahead. So GEAM part, government, so far what we've seen over the last century or so is the government has really been bought off by the cabal. You go to Epstein's Island, you get on the list, and they film you, and then there's blackmail, or you're simply threatened, or your family. So not everybody, but many of the members of the United States government over the past century have kind of done what they were told, especially post 1913 when the cabal bought the Federal Reserve Bank. So they own most of the governments due to the money. They own the money of the world. So what we're going to be seeing is, as the cabal is arrested, the government is out from under that control, and almost every month they're going to be doing things that are very positive and that actually serve the people. What a concept. So it would be the first time in most of our lives that we've seen that. So let's see, entertainment. It's going to shift from that Luciferian satanic domination, control over, smash your enemy rather than love your enemy. That's all going to shift to a completely new form of movies, of music, that have a vibration of soul and love, and that are deeply moving and uplifting, rather than watching a movie and feeling like, at the end of it. So we're going to see a total shift in a renaissance in our entertainment, our music, our movies, our poetry, our sculpture, the way buildings are built and look, to reflect the soul rather than the mind, and to reflect a feeling of unity, oneness, love, harmony, peace, rather than separation, destruction, discord, and war. So that's going to be that. Education, you've probably studied. I assume everybody that's watching this is aware of what the cabal is and the history of all that. And there's really, again, three pillars. There's the cabal, which is the physical. There's the life throughout the universe, which is the cosmic, and then the spiritual. And in my denomination, mostly we're able to talk about the spiritual. If you're in the Northwest, where I was, maybe a little bit of the cosmic and the ET, human angels, not very much of the cabal. If you're down south, maybe not much of the cosmic, but just the spiritual. So those are really, if you understand those three pillars, cabal, extraterrestrial, and spiritual awakening, you'll be prepared for disclosure. So education, many of you will probably have studied how our educational system in the mid-1900s was co-opted and hijacked, and the history that we were taught was, they hired new historians. The old ones didn't agree to do it, but they rewrote history, basically. So we haven't received the true history. We've been suppressed in our science, in our mathematics, so that will be released. The result of non-suppression of those things is found in the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases, where these mad scientists and just people that want to be in their ego and build cool things, they're given the true science. And so they've gone on and just made almost sci-fi technology, because they've gotten to use the real science. Like the Einstein stuff, he was off a little bit, but they discovered really what it should have been, corrected the equations, went on and did things. So that's education. All that information will be released, the science, the technology, the true history. Media. So currently, we see that most of the main media outlets, NBC, ABC, CNN, New York Times, all that, the viewership is under 500,000. And then in the prime time targeted demographics, ages 25 to 51, oftentimes are around 71,000. That's smaller than the college town that I went to from 2000 to 2002 and graduated from in Lawrence, Kansas. So almost no one's watching. So new media will be created and is being created in platforms such as X and others, where there's actually going to be freedom of speech. What a concept. And true dissemination of accurate and truthful information. Technology, so the stuff that's been repressed for about 100 years, free energy technology, where we can get electricity, we can get energy based on the 0 point field of the universe, aka basically gravity, will be released, which will completely transform the world, lowering the cost of houses, cars, manufactured goods, computers, furniture, food, everything, by a half to 2/3. So that will result in a global economic renaissance. And then the places that are villages can just install those free energy generators, power the whole village. There's zero pollution, so we'll see a similarity of what we saw during COVID when I looked out across Commencement Bay and Tacoma, and you could see the houses so clearly. The air quality was so wonderful, but it'll be that times 100, because all across the globe there will no longer be carbon-based fuel. We'll be using free energy generators. We also have anti-gravity that was discovered and back engineered in the early 1950s. So eventually we'll be able to go into space, and right away we'll be able to have like flying cars and stuff like that. And people that think that's cuckoo and weird, there's already companies that have created them. So they're just, what you got to do is you got to arrest the cabal first, the deep state, because this is their main source of income, is energy. So you take away their main source of income and they're going to freak out. So you got to arrest them first. Then you can release anti-gravity and free energy generators. There's other things like medical technology, like the med beds. Those are extremely advanced ET technology that has been traded most of the time for weapons throughout our history, because this dark group of people that's been running the planet just wanted more power. And so they get knowledge and information and technology, usually in exchange for genetic material from planet Earth, because our planet is considered a living library of genetic material and one of the most genetically diverse planets in this sector of the universe. So it's highly prized, and those ET races usually covet this sort of genetic material so that they can basically learn how to extend their life and do all sorts of interesting genetic experiments based on the stuff we have here. So, and our planet's quarantined, so we're not allowed to give away that information. So that's technology. So we'll have an incredible renaissance. This is all coming very soon. Healthcare, I mentioned, most of it was designed to depopulate in a slow way. So we're going to see medicines altered and changed, and the bad stuff removed, and the side effects removed, and people being well again and healthy again. With people like RFK, we're going to remove poisons. Even just taking a shower, you're absorbing things in the water through your skin. So not only will poisons be removed from the food, but also from the air. There'll be no more chemtrails with heavy metals, and all the people that work on those projects talk about, there's whistleblowers everywhere talking about how those heavy metals are extremely toxic to our system and create things like Alzheimer, influence the development of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and many of our cause us to lose our minds, basically, and are toxic to everyone, but they manifest in things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So the air will be clean, the water will be clean, the food will be clean, and then the release of advanced ET technologies that basically benefit our health, things like med beds, and moving from pills and these sort of health technologies that affect the entire body through the bloodstream and other ways to energy-based healing, which we already see with things like MRIs and CAT scans and all that stuff. Those are just extremely rudimentary compared to how precise and non-invasive it's going to get medically. So that's technology, healthcare. So then we've got environment. So I mentioned with the new tech, these all last 4 feed into each other. So with the release of all those new technologies, the environment will be extremely pristine. It's just going to be something that we haven't seen since the 16 and 1700s. The air will look so clear, the plants will look so much greener. Just going outside will be like a meditation because you will absorb the majesty of this divine creation and this incredible genetic library that we live within. We'll see species return and all sorts of things happen. So that's environment. Energy, of course, the free energy generators and other things. And there's like 50 to 100 models of how to do that. There's different ways to do it. And they're all ready to go. Blueprints are ready. People like Dr. Greer and others have assembled teams that are ready to release those things and protect the inventors from being killed and assassinated, like they have over the last century. Like if you watch The Lost Century, all these inventors have been murdered and killed. Because again, that takes away the cabal's main source of income, which is the fossil fuel industry. So food, of course, will be clean again. And I remember growing food in our own garden. We just ate a few vegetables from organic soil with few chemtrails tainting it. And you were full because there were so many nutrients in the food that we were eating. So over the course of the last 75 years, the nutrients have decreased just exponentially in our food. And so our energy level, the chronic fatigue syndrome and all those things will just increase. And all of this will synergize, so, the new technologies will create prosperity, which will allow peace, and people will actually have enough and not have to struggle, which will feed into spiritual awakening, and all of it just synergizes. So food and money and the banking system of the world will be dismantled, end of the Federal Reserve, most likely a flat tax, new currency based on precious metals rather than the current fiat currency that we have, and a stabilized economic system, the arrest of the cabal, all the central banks that are basically keeping everybody in lack and causing everyone to need to work so hard that they no longer have time to think about the things I'm talking about or their own spiritual awakening or emotional healing. And those that do achieve great material success right now usually have to work jobs in which you put forth so much energy and hours and time and effort that you no longer have time for your family, so you have a broken family, or you don't have time to take care of your physical health, or maybe you do take care of your physical health, but the family suffers, or your spirituality suffers, so you're not able to live a full life. So even the people that have material abundance today are still suffering in some form. So that's going to be ended due to the arrest of basically the 1 or 2 banks that own everything, which are funded by the cabal, managed by the cabal. So yeah, the 3 pillars, the cabal, the spiritual awakening, and life throughout the universe. And then, of course, we'll eventually meet our cosmic family, our brothers and sisters and cousins from space that we're genetically related to. And they won't do it for us, but they'll give us some guidelines, like, planets that go through the awakening process you're going through typically try ABC things. We've helped with this. They work. Here's some challenges. Here's some here's some pros and cons. We recommend maybe giving this a shot. So they'll be kind of like our older brothers and sisters advising us. Again, most of them look like us. The sun in our solar system and also the great central sun in our galaxy is a living being which projects frequencies and energies which govern the development of physical bodies. So due to that influence, most of our family in space have 2 arms, 2 legs, look very similar, have skins of most of the colors of the rainbow, usually in kind of a lighter quality. Certain characteristics may be different. But yeah, it's probably about 60% of the life out there. So they're just like us, but they have spiritual energy and they glow basically with love. And their intelligence is, like a 700 IQ. Most of them communicate telepathically. Most of them, they don't have money systems on their planets. It's useless. They all have everything they need. Either the technology is so high or they can materialize it, whatever they need. They're all able to commune with the great central sun down the tunnel of light through the ancient methods like that are taught in India on our planet to experience oneness with God. So they can all temporarily enter those states of oneness. They can do basically most of the things that Jesus and other advanced spiritual beings could do. So they're a bunch of Christ-like beings, basically. They're our older brothers and sisters. They can heal, materialize, manifest. There's all different levels of technology that they have. Some of them operate their ships of light based on their thoughts. Some of them are still getting to that point. So they use some, in-between form of technology. And we already have this on our planet. We're seeing amputees from wars in Afghanistan use their mind to cause their prosthetic to move. So we're already developing that sort of technology. Most people don't know about these things, but if you even look at what we already have, you can understand perhaps where they're at and how you get from one to the other. So yeah, so they're more advanced physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, technologically, and spiritually, pretty much in every way. And they'll be here to help us. So that's the kind of summary. Gimli FM, how government will shift, how education will shift, how entertainment will shift, how media will shift, how technology will shift, how healthcare will shift, how environment will shift, how energy will shift, how food will shift, and how money will shift. And all of this is the Great Awakening, the Age of Light, the Golden Age. And it's coming, I feel like, in my heart prior to 2028. And we'll see some of the first dominoes really any day now. Dr. Greer, he said he had 30 high-level military intelligence witnesses ready to testify in front of Congress and come forward in the next 30 days about life throughout the universe and their experience with it. There's a new movie out on Amazon called The War for Disclosure. It's really a clear time. It's a peaceful time. It's not a confusing time. But we're right on the cusp of all of this information being disclosed about the cabal, about life throughout the universe, and eventually about spirituality and who we truly are as spiritual beings. It's going to be a shock to a lot of people that their most beloved politicians, have raped children and eat children and, are satanic and I've just been basically operating out of ego and selfishness to try to depopulate and, minimize the population, get us down to a level where they can control. And they create these sort of small little communities throughout the world that they control, and then they live off planet and come visit the Neanderthals here. That's going to be a huge shock to people. But when you put it all together, it doesn't take a very smart person to realize what's actually been happening with the cabal. And they're all about to be arrested and tried, and many of them already have been. And so we're going to have all that information disclosed and on our cell phones, and probably via the emergency broadcast system, a lot of EMS, emergency message system. And a lot of people have been saying that it'll be like a circular, 2 or 3 videos that are each like 2 hours a piece, and they'll just rotate on our cell phones. And when we need to go to work, we can just turn our cell phone down, but for like a 7 to 10 day period. Oh, and there she is. So my daughter just woke up, so blessings everyone, and it's kind of an update on the positive times ahead for our planet. Peace.